Good morning everybody, and a very warm welcome to Mildenhall and Volmer. And today it's all about the build of the extension. It's got nothing to do with trains as such. It's just going to be to do with me getting all the wood together and just showing you a process of me putting this little extension together. One or two people had asked about it would be helpful if I could just show you how I went about it, just to explain what I'm doing, just to give other people who may not be so confident or not really too sure how to go about it an idea of what you can do. Now, bearing in mind what I'm doing is completely customizable, so it's just there's no rights or wrong ways of doing things, and obviously everyone's got their own needs and their own spaces and their own environments to work with, and that's something to bear in mind when you're constructing this kind of thing. Like I said, whether you're building it in a shed or whether you're building it in a garage or in a living space, obviously you have to take the environmental conditions into account before deciding what kind of materials you're going to be buying and using to withstand the environment in which your layout is to work on. Now, in my case, basically this is a living space, so because it's in a living space, it's essentially the temperature's more or less the same all the way through the flat, so I haven't got those fluctuations in temperatures like you might do in a shed or in a garage or in a loft or something like that. So bearing that in mind, I've obviously bought the materials to suit my needs, but obviously if you're going to build an extension or a layout in a shed or please bear in mind your environmental conditions before you pick and choose the wood that you're going to be using. Now, I have made a start, as some of you can probably tell already, and I'm just going to go through some of it and explain to you what I'm going to be doing and sort of showing you a process, not in every detail, but I'll just sort of show you what I've bought and what I'm doing, and then I'll come back to you and add to it. So one of the things that you can probably see, the easiest thing that you can probably see in the background, is I've actually painted the wall. The whole corridor's now been painted in the blue. So, and the colour that I used, for those of you who are interested, this was a Wicks paint. Now, you can go to B&Q, you can go to Homebase, you can go to your local hardware store. There's no rights and wrongs on colours, and again, that's entirely personal choice. But on this case, I chose to go to Wicks's because that's my local DIY store. And the colour I used was this tough and washable Wicks 2.5 litre called Beach Hut 920. So that's what's on the walls currently. And there's still a little bit left in there for touching up and things, so that's good. So that's what I've used. So I just wanted to sort of bring you guys back to this book, and this is by Pico, as you can see, and this is old. I've had this for years and years. It's not what kind of inspired me to go down this road, but it's just for those of you who are not sure, you might have this book, and basically it kind of gives you the geometry of things, but it also tells you about construction and what you can do and all the rest of it. Now, there's something I wanted to bring to your attention, is how Dave's kind of said you can do things. And as you can see, you kind of got the bookcases there and an L-shaped, and it's very similar to what I'm doing. It's just that I'm not going to put the batten on the wall. I don't really want to put holes in the walls if I can avoid it, and so that means I'm just going to spin you around and I'll explain to you what I'm going to be doing here in the hallway. So here we are in the hallway, and as you can see, I've got bookcase number 1, which is the original one. That was over there where that bookcase is. Now, that bookcase there is the new one that was sitting in a box over there on the last video, which I've just put up. It's incomplete because it hasn't got backing on it, but I don't want to put backing on it, so that's why I've deliberately left it off. And I'm going to probably reuse the backing that's on there for something else, but I'm not sure yet. All of this is going to be done off the cuff, so there's going to be, I'm not one of those people that will go and sit in front of a computer and, you know, work it all out millimetre by millimetre. That's just not me. literally, this is the space I have to work with, and this is where the railway is going to go, and this is how it's going to end up. Like I said, as you can see, that's the paint that I used. That's the booklet I've just showed you. This is a set of casters, which let me just hold it like that, because I actually opened it the wrong way around. And these are the casters that I've just bought. And I'll take one out and I'll show you. So that's what I've bought, pack of 4. So just screw through the bottom into the bottom of the bookcase. So that's the first thing I need to do, is actually put these onto the bottom of the bookcases, so I can then move them about a little bit more easier than just trying to lift them. Because once you start connecting them up, then it's going to be a real nightmare if I'm having to try and shift these on my own without any wheels on it. So I'm going to put some wheels in it so they can be moved just like the main layout. And this is what's on the main layout as well. I should say you can get the pronged versions of these, so you can actually drill into the bottom and then after just punch them in. So this is the other type of caster that you can use, also from Wix's. You just basically drill a hole into the bottom of the leg, which is what I did on the main layout. And then you basically punch this bit in first, the bit with the spikes, and then after you slot in the bar up the pole straight through it afterwards. So you've got the 2 types of casters there. So you've got the flat ones, and then you've got the poked ones. But for the bookcases, I'm just going to be using these flat ones, and that's some scrap wood, because basically the casters sit too deep, too recessed in the bottom of the bookcase, so the bookcase will sit lower than the actual casters. So I need to drop the casters down, so I did a way to do that. So I'm going to attach these to some scrap pieces of wood, and then after screw the wood into the bottom of the bookcase, and then just raise it ever so slightly to be able to move it. So one of the big changes I'm going to do here is, originally on my last video I said I was going to make it into a 2-tier L-shaped, one on the bottom and then one slightly raised higher up. I've decided against that. I just felt that I wanted to try and keep this as light in this area and as open as I can, and obviously the L shape is going to come and sort of encroach quite a bit in any case. So this is the workspace I have to work with, but I thought if I put an upper tier it will just come too far in. So I thought I'm going to leave it, and then I'm just going to put some nice Vulcan bomber poster and have it framed and all the rest of it, and put that on the wall, and that will give it a nice touch as well. And I think that's the best way to go, and that will keep it light and airy as well. So that's kind of what I'm going to be doing. So I'm not going to be doing the 2-tier system. And then I'm going to use the colour of the wall as the backdrop for the railway. So that way I don't have to do a back scene. So I'm going to leave it like that. And according to the painting, like I said, it's tough and washable. So if I get any marks, I should be able to clean it up. So that's the plan. So I guess the first thing to do is to make the wheels up to put onto the bottom of the bookcase. And like I said, there's a recess at the bottom, but the wheels, the casters will sit too far in, so I need to drop the casters down ever so slightly in order to raise the bookshelf so I can be able to move it. So this is the framework. These are the sort of plain strip woods that I've bought. It's exactly the same as this. It's just that this is a pack of 10. It's more than enough than what I need here. Actually, I bought it with the intention of doing the 2-tier system, but I'm not going to be doing that. It's not a problem, because I'm going to save that and use that for when I extend it round into the bedroom anyway. So it's not going to go to waste. So there's no point taking it back. I'll just leave it sitting there, and it's just ready for me when I need it. So this is something else that I'm going to be using to make the framework. So in this view, you can see that I've turned the bookcase basically on its head. So this is now the top, but it's actually the bottom. And as you can see, I've just popped the scrap piece of wood and the caster on there. And I've just checked the caster, and it's just slightly proud of the bottom of the bookcase, which is what I want. I don't want it too high, because otherwise it'll mess up the height of it attaching to the other piece. So then I use my set square here just to mark off the end. And like I said, it's only scrap wood, so it doesn't have to be anything exciting, and then it can be just glued and screwed, 2 pieces per unit with 4 wheels per unit. One of my handy tools that I've had for years and years now is this table saw, and it's got me through a lot of woodwork here at Mildenhall Volmer, and it's an invaluable piece of equipment that I have. I use it quite regularly when I'm doing this, and it makes life a lot easier to get through the wood and get through the woodwork very quickly. So I'm just going to get on, do all the 4 corners, and I'll come back to you. So as you can see, this is some offcuts of wood. I've got another one there, and as you can see, I've just countersunk them, and then they'll be glued and screwed onto the bottom, and then after I can put the wheels screwed onto this. So that's going to just sort of go there. It doesn't really matter. So this is my cordless drill. It's not a very expensive drill, but it works. But the thing to note about this is I've managed to get this off of Amazon, where you've got this all-in-one drill bit and countersink bit in one. So you don't have to keep changing the ends in order to countersink it. So you don't drill the hole first and then have to take it out and then put a countersink bit in and then countersink it afterwards. So this is like an all-in-one little pack that I bought. And I got it off of Amazon. It's a load of quite a few of these. So all different sizes, depending on what you need it for. So that's what I've got with that. Like I said, I'm going to glue it with some PVA and then screw it in. I've got my casters here, ready to go on. And then also another little gadget I got from Wix is just one of these power drills. These little sort of handy motorised sort of power screwdriver things. And that works for me because it saves me having, again, to keep taking out the bits out the chuck. So it saves a lot of time because all you're doing is just literally just swapping one tool for another tool and then just screwing it straight in with this. So as you can see, it's all attached, casters are on. So it's a moment of truth, turn it the right way up and then see if it rolls. So let's see. So here we go, here's our bookcase. So does it roll? Of course it does. So that's fabulous. So it's important that I do the wheels first, because then when I connect this bookcase to the other bookcase, then obviously it's going to be a lot easier to manhandle and to manipulate. And if I need to move it away from the wall to do any work to the wall or anything like that, I can do that. So that's one down, one to go. So I'm going to get on, do the other one, and then I'll come back to you once I've done both of them. So as you can see, this is the white bookcase, and I've just finished it in terms of putting the wheels on it. Now, one thing I didn't mention, one thing I didn't mention, that I should have mentioned before, is if you're planning on going down this road with having the casters and to make it movable, when you're attaching the casters, you need to be careful to make sure that they're free spinning, because if you basically need to find a balance between putting them in the middle so they're steady and basically not putting it too close to the edges, so that if they catch on the ends and they don't freely move, then when it comes to you trying to spin it around the room, you won't be able to spin it around the room freely because the wheels won't be catching and turning properly. So you have to do that on both sides. Now my next job is going to be to do and add an extra piece along the back here. And as you can see, there needs to be enough clearance so that back wheel also spins around freely, so it doesn't catch on any of the edges. So that's just something to bear in mind if you're going to go down this route. But like I said, this is totally customizable, and this is how I'm just doing it for me. So it might not necessarily apply to you if you're not going to do it, but this is just one way of me doing it. So this is what works for me, so this is what I'm going to be doing. So now I need to cut a long piece so I can then attach it to this, because I need to start linking the two bookcases together. So in order for me to do that, I just need to sort out this bottom edge here. So I've now completed this bottom of this bookcase. So I've added the casters. As you can see, they rotate freely both sides. I've just added this because this didn't come with it, and it's basically the same format as what's on the other side. I've just used these little plastic L brackets to secure it on there, and then I've screwed it in at the ends, and that isn't going to go anywhere. Because I need this bit, so when I link this up to the other bookcase, I need to screw it into this piece of board, because this is made out of Conti, as you can see. So if I just screw into the Conti on the ends, it's just going to be too weak. So, and it's just going to split over time with the movement. So that's why I've added this bit as a strengthening piece. I can screw straight into this, and this won't go anywhere. So I now need to do the same again on the other bookcase, and then they'll both be ready to be linked up. So we're at the stage now where both bookcases are at exactly the same point. As you can see, they've both got their casters done on both ends, and they've also had the back piece put in. It's now time to think about how I'm going to link them all up together to create this L shape. So the easiest way of doing it is the lengths I bought were 1.8 meters. And across here is 2.2 meters. So that's coming off about 7 foot, 7 and a bit. Near enough 8 feet, because 8 feet is 2.4. So in order for the 1.8 meter lengths to work, what I have to do is create two separate sections and basically build one part on that end, one bit on this end, and then basically bolt them together or screw them together, and that's the way to do it. And it's also probably the easiest way to do it as well. As you can see, this one's moving around and it rotates, so that's fine. It's perfectly happy here where it is. I now need to put these two pieces of wood on top of here, and then that will raise it to the same level as what's over on the main layout, so then it will just be level across here. So that's my next job, is to put these two pieces on here and sort of brace it like that, and then the top board, which will be ply, can go on top of that. So I'm not actually using this as a top board, I'm just using it as a base. So my next bit to do is to basically build a framework around the bookcase and do it for the two individual pieces. So hello, and we're just coming to the end of this video, but before I do, I'm just going to spin you around and show you how far I've got, because the plans got modified as they do with me. It's like I said at the beginning of this video, a lot of what I do is off the cuff, and sometimes I've just got to work on my feet and think on my feet just to get things sorted out and to where I want them to be. So let me show you how far I've got, and then there'll be a part 2 where we'll get on with the rest of it. So let me explain to you what I've done. So I'm just going to spin you around. So this is how far we've got. So the L shape is there, and it is all linked. Now, I did say I was going to build it as two separate pieces, but in the end I've had to kind of interconnect them all. And the reason for that is basically what I'd forgotten, and this is the thing, you have to check and double check and all the measurements and everything like that, is that as a cost saving exercise, I was doing the width between the front and the back, and the front and the back at the other end at 1 foot, just 12 inches. And not only as a cost saving exercise, but it's also because I didn't want it to encroach too much into the hallway. So by the thing being, the bookcases are just under 1 foot. And by adding one end, which is a bit on the back, it already brings it to 12 inches to 1 foot already. So that means, so ordinarily this kind of ladder kind of arrangement, I would have sort of had all the way along here and all the way back around there, and it's the same at the other end. I would have had this ladder arrangement. But because I'm trying to keep it to 12 foot wide, 12 inches wide, 1 foot. I couldn't do that. And so that's why we've kind of got this kind of odd arrangement, but it does actually work. It's all solid, it's all interconnected, and it does move, and it's level. So there isn't going to be, and it's also at the same height as what the current layout is, which is the reason why I needed to add these extra bars on the top. It's to bring the height of the layout to the same height as this, or this to the same height as the layout, I should say. And like I said, I've got my spirit level there. It is all kind of working. It does all move. And as you can see, it can be moved away from the wall. And this is just me, just that one end, just doing that. So you can see that how the casters and the wheels work. I'll just move this back into its position. So if it does need, I mean, it won't be moved very often, to be fair. I'm not planning on moving it very often. It's just if it needs to be moved for any reason, it can be moved. And if I need to get to the back wall to either sort something out the wall or whatever, then it can be moved. So that's kind of where we're at the moment. On the next video, we'll be sort of dealing with kind of putting the boards on the top and probably even trying to get this finished. At the moment, it's just a bit of a mishmash between colours, bare wood and wood effect. But once it's all done, it will just look as white as that unit at the end. And then once you put the fascia board on it and all the rest of it, it will look perfectly fine. At the end of the day, this is my living space. So if you look at it like this, in terms of how much width I've got, I didn't really want to bring this much further in. And also if I added another layer on the top, which I had considered, I think it would have made the hallway a bit too enclosed, which I didn't really want. Where currently I've got this kind of box here, which has kind of got my kind of decorating stuff and things like that, and my workmate. I've got an ottoman on the way for that. That's going to stay in that corner. So if I want to run trains from this side, just for a change, I can run trains from this side. I can pull the ottoman out, sit there and just see the trains go by through this side of this part of the layout. So that's something else that I'm going to do. So at the moment, it's coming along. You can definitely see it's an L shape. You can definitely see it's coming along. And you can definitely see it's not finished. But all in all, we will get to where we want to go. And it's another step closer to bringing the railway to the hallway, at least, and then beyond. So thank you for watching, and it concludes today's video. And I hope that you do find this interesting. I'm not actually too sure how interested people are going to be in seeing me doing what I'm doing, because obviously this is a model railway channel. So I mean, I know it has got to do with the railway, because obviously the railway is going to be sitting on top of this construction, but I'm not sure just how many people will be actually interested in viewing this video. So I'll be interested to look at the numbers and see whether this is the type of thing that you guys actually want to see. Like I said, I will probably do the rest of this video like this for the hallway in terms of its construction, and then maybe if the numbers stack up to a point where I don't mind and I think it's good enough, I will probably do the same when I come to doing the bedroom, but no promises there. For now, like I said, I just need to get some more board, and then we can carry on and crack on and to do what I've been doing. So until the next time, it's bye from Mildenhall and Volmer. And I'm going to end up calling this Mildenhall and Districts. Tell me what you think, because we did have Beringer, and then it went to Beringer and Districts as we had the various parts of the layout. If you think that's a good idea, let me know in the comments. Just, you know, if you like Mildenhall and Districts, then maybe I'll change it to that, because then that will just cover the whole layout as a whole, as opposed to just, because there's going to be various sections on this railway. So now it's getting bigger. It's not just Mildenhall now, it's got bigger. So I am thinking of going back to doing what I did at Beringer, calling it Beringer, called Beringer and Districts. So I might very well do a Mildenhall and Districts logos and stuff like that, and change it to Mildenhall and District. But let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think of the video, whether you think it was useful or helpful. Like I said, I have enjoyed doing it. It's taken some time today. We're getting there, and within the next, I don't know, a few days or so, maybe a week, it should all be done. So until the next time, it's bye from Mildenhall and Vollmer. Goodbye. Good morning everybody, and welcome to part 2 of my layout build. Now I know it's all mixed in with the first part, but I was initially supposed to upload the first part separately. Unfortunately, I had a problem with the laptop, so I couldn't do it. So what I've decided to do is I'm just going to carry on with what I'm doing and just tack it on to the first part, and then I'll break this up in the middle of that first video, in the middle of the video. So therefore, you know, you can watch whichever part you want first. So in this part, and there's going to be a third part, we're just going to look at, if I'm just going to spin you around. So in this part of the video, I'm going to be looking at just adding the top boards and the fascia boards, just to neaten it up and tidy it up and to make it usable, so you can have a rough idea. And then the third part will be the finishing part, which will be adding the doors and the actual painting. So today's video, we're just going to add the top bit, top board and the fascias, and just tidy up that corner as well and bring that corner in as well. So yesterday I did mention about doing it this way for cost saving exercise, but I never really actually explained what the cost saving was. So let me just quickly explain to you that. Like I said, it's a foot wide at each end, and the reason why it's a foot wide is to save some money as well as to keep the width in the hallway. And the cost saving bit comes in terms of when you buy boards, they tend to be 4x2 or 6x2 if you buy lengths like that, unless you buy an 8x4 sheet. So by buying a 6x2 and splitting it down the middle, you can actually effectively get 2 boards out of 1, and that's essentially what I'm trying to do, and save some money that way. And then it's just better because the price of wood's absolutely shot up. I don't realise just how expensive just this project is costing me just to do this, let alone if I was to do the second tier on the top. However, it should be a nice piece of furniture and a solid piece of furniture when it's done. I mean, I know it doesn't look like much at the moment, but once you've added it in and painted it all up, it should look really, really spot on. So anyway, let's just crack on and get the top bit done. So basically what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be I've bought a 4x2 sheet and a 6x2, and basically I'm going to split them down the middle. So there's 6x1 and 4x1. And then that will be the board that goes across and the board that goes along here. And then the second part will go along the bottom. And then you've got the fascia bit that goes down here along this bottom edge. And then there'll be a fascia bit that goes along this top edge as well and goes around that corner. And that will be as far as we're going to get today. So as you can see in this view, we've, I've managed to cut the boards to shape. So we've got the initial sort of section. So they just need to be screwed in now. I'm not going to glue it, I'm just going to screw it. Because if for whatever reason at some point in the future I need to remove it, then at least I haven't ruined the top boards. So I can still reuse those. Just a quick word on what I've got going on here. Is basically, I just thought I'd show you, I did show you my power drill, my power screwdriver, but I just thought I'd show it to you in the sense that this particular one, you can press the button and you can swivel it around. So you can use it as a gun type. And I thought I'd also just show you, let me just get a bit closer in. I thought I'd just show you some of the screws that I've been using. And this one is 20 millimeters, this one's 30, this one's 45. So there's various sort of lengths that I'm using on the layout depending on what I'm doing. So I bought 3 separate packs, 200 each. So these are the 3 separate ones that I'm using. And here you've got the various sort of countersunk bits that you can use and drill bits all in one. So you don't have to worry about swapping out the the drill bit for a countersunk bit because it's all in one. Like I said, got those from Amazon. So I'm just going to carry on screwing down and then I'll come back to you. So as you can see now, I've now screwed it all down. It's all battened down now. So that bit by there to there is like I said, is a foot, and then the very end from that to that end is also a foot. I've now just got to stick a triangular piece across there to create the curve, and then I can start thinking about doing the fascias. And I've also just got to do the bottom bit down there, just to put a board like that on top of that. Then once that's done and the fascias are done, then it will just be a matter of doing the doors and the painting, and then that unit will be pretty much good to go. It's still moving, it's still, you can still move it about, which has proved extremely handy to sort of get the screws for the back end of the board, just to screw them down into the battens. So by being able to pull the whole unit out, then I've been able to get to the screws. So if I just demonstrate to you slightly, so you can just see that I can just pull it away from the wall. I mean, obviously I haven't pulled it right out, but just as a demonstration, you can pull it right out. So I can actually have it right in the middle of the corridor here, have the freedom to walk right round it whilst to do the work behind the layout or behind this unit, and just screw it in without me having to sort of like bend right over. So it's been really, really good just for that, putting the wheels on it is just absolutely brilliant. And like I said, if I need to redecorate in the future, I can then move it out of the way and all the rest of it. So I've now got this piece, a corner piece. This is actually an offcut that I'd saved because I knew I was going to need it. I think I had it from when I built this extension just around the back here. So I knew I was going to need it, so I kept it to one side. So I've now basically, what I've done is I've used a couple of pieces of offcut and one here, and I've just slid it in between, like I've done here. Just slid it in between, but put it at an angle as such that when I put the fascia board on, that I can screw into that. I've also added this extra spare piece as well, and that gives it the support for the corner. And then I've got this piece here, which I'm just going to screw onto the front here like so. And once again, once the fascia piece goes onto that, then it can screw into that piece of board there. So basically it should all fit together nicely. So once I've done that, then we can move on to the fascia board and getting that fitted and seeing how that looks. So we've now come to the end of this video, and hopefully I'll be able to upload it this time. So that's why part 1 and 2 are together. So I had a problem with the laptop, so in the end I've just ended up doing the second part, just add it to the first part, lump it into one video. There will be a part 3, so before I go, let me just show you as far as we've got for this video, or at least for this part, and we'll show you what I've done and how far I've got. And I think hopefully you'll be suitably impressed. I mean, I'm actually really happy with it, to be perfectly honest, and I guess that's all that matters. But hopefully you'll sort of see where I'm getting at and where I'm going, and hopefully you'll like it, and hopefully you'll be impressed too. So here we are looking at the unit, and as you can see, it's all linked up. It's all connected. It is all still mobile and ready to go. It is still all a bit mishmash in terms of colours, with white mixed in with bare wood and all the rest of it. But on the next video, that's what we'll be tackling. We'll be tackling adding the doors on this cabinet and on that cabinet and giving it a paint job. And pretty much all of that will be all in white. And obviously the scenery and railway will go on the top. And that top fascia board will go in the customary blue colours that I have going on around the layout. And that will just basically tie in this unit with the rest of the layout. This is the standard sort of fascia that I use for the front of mine. I mean, that's the one I just tend to use. But on this occasion, I've also used along the bottom there, just to give it a really, really nicer finish, I've used this piece of fascia skirting board, and it's got a flat bottom edge. So I'm really, really pleased with that. So if I just zoomed you in slightly, just so you can have a better look, and you can see that it's just really, I think it's really nicely made, to be honest. I think once it's painted up, it's going to look absolutely fabulous. And it fits in my living space really nicely. Now, if I just sort of spin you around, and I'm going to just reverse you out a little bit. There you go. And the reason why I'm just reversing you out is that you can just have a rough idea of what the width is, because I've obviously got this wall here. Where's my finger? There it is. So the wall just here. So I've got between there and there. So if that came in too far, then it would just eat up too much of the living space. So it's, as it stands, it's still quite an open area, and it wouldn't be any more than what maybe some people would put in terms of cabinets or drawers or something like that in any case. And I just think it looks really smart, especially finished off with the trimmings. I think the fascia board really does make a huge difference, and also the skirting along the bottom, it really tidies it up. I will show you a lower view in just a moment. So here's a view from the other side, and let me just see, you can just sort of see how it looks. And like I said, I'm just ready to prep, so the track work will eventually come in from here, and then obviously curve round, and then it will go out and curve to the right once again. So far, so good. I'm really pleased. It's coming out really well. Like I said, in the third and final part of this, we're going to be, like I said, looking at finishing it off by adding the doors on this bookcase and this one. And we'll also be looking at just giving it a paint job. So this white bookcase ties in with the bare wood and this bookcase here. And obviously, like I just mentioned earlier, we'll be tying in the fascia board and putting that into the blue that we have running throughout the rest of the layout. So until the next time, it's goodbye from Mildenhall and Volmer. I hope you're enjoying this build, and if you are, then just let me know. Like I said, I've got more construction to do to create extensions, so it might be possible to do some videos a lot, maybe not, but hopefully this has helped some of you in sort of trying to work out how you might get through some of these awkward corners and awkward spots. And like I said, I've got a few odd corners here, and I've got the radiator to get round. So hopefully you can see now how I've linked it all up and how it all looks. And hopefully you agree that although it's not finished, you can sort of see where we're going with it. And you can see that hopefully you can sort of picture that when it comes to the final outcome, once the doors are on and the handles are on and it's all painted, it's going to really look like a really nice piece of furniture. So until the next time, part 3, it's goodbye from Mildenhall and Varma. Goodbye.